About that time, right, community? What's going down? My name is Mac, here at the MacGyver7 channel, and today we're going to be doing some, well, AMD related news alongside some Windows news. A lot has changed. We've gone from the 1909 to the era of 2004, all the way up to 20H0, which I'm currently on right now, and what they call quality updates nowadays. They do help out a little bit. They come alongside with the actual framework now. Now, I have experienced some issues with the consistency of running along this framework. Nothing huge, but I'm not saying everyone should go ahead and run out to try it out. And if they do, always resort to go back to 2004, which is steady, or the 1909 if you're still on that and it's applicable. But let's go ahead and take a look at some benchmarks on what's going down so we can take some more clarity to see that there is some really cool horizons for 20HO. With Firestrike being our first test that we're going to take a look at, with orange being the hardware accelerated GPU scheduling active, we're going to be taking a look at the newer framework on the top and the older framework on the bottom. As you can see, the night and day affection of what's ended up happening is it almost destroys itself by almost by 1,000 points. Now, the quality update came with it alongside with the actual framework. I had to install one and then reset, and then it new, and then it reset another one, and then it did this really weird install process, but the end result was I actually came up with some pretty cool performance, but it is kind of with a mixed result. The next we'll look at the Firestrike Extreme to see the trend continues, so you'll have a little bit more room with your overclocking and with the optional or standard depending on where you want to go. My personal recommendation for AMD nowadays is the 20.10.1. Comes pretty good, but I'm looking forward for November's, which should be rolling out hopefully pretty soon. So we'll be getting our 20.11 or maybe just a 21.1, which I would love to see from AMD. Now, this is where I wanted to take a pause and basically say this is where I saw some of the issues. Was Ultra and the 4K is where some of the testing I noticed I completely slacked. Now, maybe this framework's really good for NVIDIA, but for right now, from what I saw, there was a clear distinction between the hardware accelerator off and on with the older one. So you can definitely see they both edged, but they both went down, which was very interesting. So if you are playing in 4K, you can still have a fighting chance of getting some FPS, but just make sure you're going to have to toggle your hardware accelerator off and on in order to gain back that headroom. Because, I mean, 9 points isn't that much, but still, you're on a really good like CPU, got some tuned RAM, and you want some extra FPS and stability, it's going to make sort of a difference. But this is pretty much flat out where it gets destroyed. The old framework somehow did really well with DirectX 12, as where we can see where DirectX 12 on the new framework is pretty much just kind of trash. Which is very interesting because if I remember correct, that is a specific IP for Microsoft products. So they have their own portion for the DirectX 12 and going forward for situations. So maybe you might see some really interesting things inside of frameworks on top of that, but I mean, it just seems like you're going to lose a little bit, not a horrible lot. And again, this is like between a 20-point margin, so maybe you might see an FPS go down or something ridiculously minuscule. Then, strangely enough, the framework fights back with a hardware accelerator on and kicks the crap out of the old framework in 4K. So you can see that this was a very interesting mid-patch note. Seems like what they basically did was they tuned the 4K arena of DirectX 12, which everything's going for with the 3090s and the emergence of the 6000 series with AMD, which I'm digging because that's the heart of the bread and butter of next generation console. Just 4K is here, it's large and in charge, and that's what we're doing nowadays. So get excited. I am. And not to mention, we're looking at 8K, the new horizon that I'm going to be tapping into in the next, like probably this year, if not next year, if I can, for Scherzi. That's going to be something I'm going to be incorporating inside of my channel, but I'm just waiting for the emerging pieces for my new technological rig. But everyone, I'd like to think that one of the bread and butters of this is the DirectX 11. That's pretty much the IP that everyone utilizes, everyone's going to have fun with, and it showed the most increasement. So 20HO is actually not that bad when it comes down to actually performing in the gaming department for us. So this is your boy Mac. If you're new to the network, you can always subscribe, absolutely free. That helps me out as the creator, and if you do today, who knows, maybe, just maybe, I'll get me some like 6000 series AMD stuff and just like start, you know, doing some benchmarks, you know, because that's what I do best. But if you're into that, you should totally subscribe. But I'll see you guys and gals in the near future. Stay safe, stay classy, and I will see you there. Seems like my computer issues were over, because that was one of the reasons why I had to update this. Was Windows kept causing a bug because it was like quality. I'm like, okay, I get it. You keep crashing because I'm assuming that you're not getting the proper quality you want in the framework, and then it started working really well. So it's trial and error. It's a brand new OS for them, but it's exciting, and New Horizons are my thing. So later, everyone.